Hi guys, George here, Brighton Fan TV. With me this week, I've got Kieran from RedDevilWeekly, talking through just our thoughts on the match yesterday. He's going to have a casual chat. We've got a live chat, so put your questions in the live chat. Kieran, welcome to the channel.
Well, thank you for having me on, and thank you. I really appreciate being on your first live hangout, and very exciting times.
We've been on Kieran's channel ourselves a couple of times, but live videos aren't something we've done before. So this is something new for the channel. We thought we'd let you guys get a flavour for a new style of video, and Kieran's going to help us do that. Firstly, I thought we'd just chat about, Kieran, what were your thoughts on the match yesterday?
Well, normally, as you know, I was just happy to get the 3 points in the end. I thought we started really well in the first half. We put you under a lot of pressure. But in the second half, we took our foot off the gas. And I thought, actually, to be fair, you guys really did keep going to the end. And obviously got rewarded with the goal. We got a bit sloppy, but a brilliant ball in, actually, for your goal. So I've got to, give you credit for that. But only we were just able to hang on. But actually, I would say definitely it was a performance of two halves. First half, we went out there, a piece of brilliance from Marcus Rashford, and the penalty, which obviously we'll discuss in a bit, but obviously Pogba stuck that away, which is very important that he did, because to go in 2-0 up at half-time is obviously going to be a big advantage. But you guys got the goal in around the 70th minute, and the last 15 minutes of that game, I thought we were really holding on, and it actually reminded me a lot of the Jose Mourinho era, where we'd be, 2-0 up at half-time. We'd come out in the second half, and we'd kind of take our foot off the gas, we'd get a bit sloppy, and we'd almost let teams back into the game, and then we'd, in the last 15 minutes, allow kind of pressure, and we'd have to soak up a lot of pressure. And obviously, I don't like watching that, because it's a bit of, like, heart and mouth kind of stuff, watching chances go by and things like that. But ultimately, the 3 points is all that matters. And of course, with other results as well are in and around us, we're only 3 points off top four. So in that respect, it was a positive weekend for us. And ultimately, the performance, I think I can't have too much, bad things to say about the performance. But I would say something that we need to improve on is killing off games a bit earlier, and not sitting back and just allowing teams to come onto us, because I was worried that you could have come away with the draw, and that wouldn't have been a favourable result for us. But ultimately, we got through it in the end.
Now, where do you think that lack of intensity came from? Do you think that's just complacency, as in teams like Brighton, we can take our foot off the gas for the last part? Or do you think that's substitutions, like not enough squad rotation? What do you think you'd put that down to?
I mean, I think it could be a bit of both, really. I think, obviously, when you go into another half-time, I did think, some of the players came out and they were, they're very confident, but I did think there was a bit of complacency coming in there. I thought we did look a bit sloppy. I thought, you guys really did, start to put the pressure on, and especially after, we got, you guys got the goal to make it 2-1. Then it just, obviously it cut the deficit in half, and then the players, kind of got a bit jittery. They knew that only one goal away from a draw, and I'm not 100% sure where it comes from. I mean, we've seen in the past, obviously, well, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's come in, at least in his first few games, against Cardiff, Bournemouth, against Huddersfield, these teams, we were killing them off, and they ended, 3-4-1. But in the last few results, especially after that Reading result a few weeks ago, I just think we haven't been as good as we were, especially in the second half of games, and especially yesterday, I thought we did get a bit sloppy in that second half. Obviously, we brought on Lukaku and Mata in the second half, who we brought off a bit of pace. And I mean, obviously, they're better at kind of slowing down the game, especially someone like Juan Mata. But I would have liked to seen us, of course, be a bit more ruthless and try and go for a few more goals. But I think that's also testament to the way that you guys defended. But yeah, ultimately, I think that's definitely someone that we need to work on. But I think, as you said, you made the points. I think it's a bit of both, but I'm not 100% sure where it comes from, to be honest. But I just hope we don't see it again.
But do you think there were some people on United forums after the game saying that there's a fullback problem at United, that the times when we did get forward and we did exploit half chances were mainly in the fullback positions? Do you think that's something that needs to be strengthened in January? And will Solskjaer even look to strengthen that, or do you think he'll stay with what he's got?
Well, I mean, in the January transfer window, if we're talking that respect, I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna get any money to spend. I don't think we're gonna sign anyone in January, to be honest. Of course, Luke Shaw, just for the game, was out. I'm not sure if he's ill or something. I think Delo came in. I think with Delo, he's a young player still, so he's got a lot of time to learn. But he's much better going forward than he is tracking back, and I think his defensive. His defensive discipline definitely needs a lot of work. We've seen a lot of the times when he has played, he has been able to put in decent crosses, but ultimately he has been caught out a lot. He's kind of been, left up the pitch and players have been getting in behind him very easily. And that is definitely something that he'll need to work on. But ultimately, I think we're going to have to stick with what we've got. Ashley Young, on the other hand, is definitely getting on a bit, and I can see us bringing in somebody else in the summer. There's rumours that Darmian as well potentially could be leaving to Juventus in January. So I think to the back end of this season, after the January transfer window, we are just going to have to deal with having only a few fullbacks in the side. But I think in the summer, definitely that is somewhere that we are going to look to strengthen.
Well, I like the point you made about Young, because I think the times that we did get a little bit of time was especially in between the spaces in between Young, especially leading up to Gross's goal. Now, in terms of the penalty, what are your opinions on the penalty?
Well, it was a bit of a coming together. Obviously, I think Pogba was coming in from the right hand side, wasn't he? And I think your left back is Bong, is it? He kind of went in for the challenge. I think it was him that gave away the penalty in the end. But I felt it was a bit of a coming together. I would say probably. I mean, I've seen them given, I've seen them not given. So obviously as a Man United fan, I was happy the decision went our way. But yeah, I would say I wouldn't say it was an unfair decision on. I think it probably was the right decision. But as I said, on another day, it could have been given against us.
We've got comments here on the live chat. We've got Dazza's football stand. Good result for United, but we really struggled in the game. So great credit to Brighton. Lindelof and Jones isn't a good partnership, allows the opposition lots of room, which is poor for United's reputation. Pretty controversial penalty. I think that's some fair points that he's made there. I think the Lindelof and Jones partnership about that room, that is the time that we got space. I mean, Propper's ball was absolutely exceptional, but Gross did quite well to get himself into that gap. And I mean, it was like a touch and in. The controversial penalty, as a Brighton fan, I must say I did think it was a penalty. As soon as he'd got the Bong was on the wrong side, it was almost a carbon copy of the penalty we gave away against Liverpool. And it was 50-50. He was damned if he did, damned if he didn't. And as soon as there was pressure on his back, he went down. I wasn't complaining about it, I'd say that. I would have been more surprised if it hadn't been given, if I'm honest. We've got more comments in the live chat. Button's good, but he's no Ryan. I thought Button played quite well yesterday. I thought Rashford's goal, there was no stopping that. I thought it was a quality finish. Other than that, I thought Button had a good game. He made a couple of really key saves. The one that Martial took a really good touch, credit to him. And Button literally just tried to smother it and pinged it wide before getting it clear. I don't know what your opinions were for that yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously, you're so used to having, Matty Ryan in goal, and I think he has served you well. But I thought, ultimately, I think Barton actually did very, very well in goal. And I think, obviously, I remember, the one you talking about, Martial, I think that was a good save. He came out commanding his box, and you got to commend him for that. And I would say the Rashford goal, I mean, he's on red-hot form at the moment. And, when a player's on that sort of form, those sort of goals just go in for him. And it was a finish right in the top corner. I wouldn't have expected even David De Gea to get anywhere near that. So, yeah, I wouldn't blame the goalkeeper for any of the goals that you considered yesterday. So, I think, to be fair, considering he's had to come in, he didn't get that much game time when obviously Matt Ryan was your goalkeeper. I think he did pretty well yesterday.
Did you expect Martial to perform better yesterday? Did you expect him to finish? I didn't think he had a poor game, but would you have liked him to get a goal?
Oh, well, of course. I mean, I think, to be fair, watching some of our previous games, I actually haven't rated Martial's performance. Now, the Man United fan base is definitely split on some people who almost worship Anthony Martial and, say that he never has a bad game, and other people who aren't as keen. And for me, I feel like he's a quality player, and I think he's definitely got a lot of potential. He's still only 22 years old. He's got a lot of potential still to become a really, really world-class player. But I would have loved him to get a goal yesterday. As I said, I didn't think he had, a bad game at all. I thought he did, get into some really good areas. He had a few shots on goal, which on another day, if he struck it better, it might have flown to the back of the net. So it just wasn't going to go in for him yesterday. But I would have loved to see him get a goal. And hopefully he can start to hit form, because we are starting to get into the period where we need players like Martial to step up, because we've got some very, very tricky games on the horizon. But yeah, I would have loved to see him get a goal yesterday.
We've got more comments in the live chat here. Yeah, I wouldn't blame Button, but I feel the defence aren't used to having a different keeper, as Ryan has played so much. Again, that's a fair point. I guess we're used to a system with Matt Ryan, and I think both their distributions are very different. Button's very much more a long ball man, whereas Ryan likes to play out from the back. In terms of the performance of the defence yesterday, I wouldn't say it was a poor performance. I'd say it was. He played well. Button played well yesterday. It's one of those. It's one of those things. In terms of the attack, though, I think we did well against United's exceptional attack. Would you agree with that?
I would definitely. I would say, actually, to be fair, I mean, the fact that, in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, let's call it, we have been, really dispatching teams at home. And I thought, actually, defensively, I thought he did really well. Of course, obviously, the Rashford goal, I wouldn't have expected, your defence to stop that. I think it was individual brilliance from Marcus Rashford. And the Pogba penalty, maybe that's, something that, I mean, obviously, you said you gave away a very similar penalty against Liverpool. So maybe that is something that, a bit of a weakness in the defending there, just kind of decision-making and things like that. But, of course, I'm not sure if you can really blame the defence for that. But ultimately, I think, as Brighton are, they're very, very good at, defending kind of crosses, things like that. And I think, your centre-back partnership is actually very, very good. Probably one of the best out of kind of the kind of bottom table, or the lower table sides in the league. Probably one of the best defensive partnerships. And, we always knew that Brighton were going to be very difficult to break down. And that is why, personally, I wasn't predicting any, high scoring match. But, of course, other people were, but of course it wasn't. It didn't happen. And you got to give credit where credit's due, because on another day, on a different defence, with Rashford, Martial, Lingard, you got Lukaku coming on as well. On another day, that attack can be absolutely ruthless. So yeah, I thought he did well.
I mean, that was something we spoke about in our pre-match review on your channel, which we'll link in the description below. There were people that were quite disrespectful towards Brighton in terms of what the scoreline would be. In particular, scorelines of like 4 goals, more excessive than 4-goal leads. And I think we proved yesterday that we were a lot harder team to break down than people think. We've got more comments in the live chat here about Martial had a decent game, but there was no end product from him, which was disappointing. Do you know what? I don't think it was just him that was struggling with the end product. I think Brighton struggled with that end product as well. In terms of clinicality in the last third, we were really off the pace a little bit. We just couldn't seem to put it away. Even little half chances. The one that I'm thinking of is Murray's one that he had in the box. He took it and he just absolutely laced it wide. It's sort of those half chances that we didn't really capitalise on. And it's one of those things where you think if the game had played out just slightly differently, we might have been within a chance. De Gea did well yesterday, the chances that he did have to deal with. I just think we made wrong decisions in terms of clinicality. We've got more comments here. I've noticed that United have struggled at late since we beat Bournemouth. Newcastle was tough. Reading wasn't great. Spurs was the De Gea masterclass, and Brighton at home was a tough, tight affair. Would you agree with that, Kieran, that United aren't playing their best football still? Despite the wins, you're not playing the best football that you could be.
No, I totally agree with that. I think he's absolutely spot on, whoever commented that, because, especially, I mean, for me, the one that really sticks out to me is the Reading game, because on paper, we were going into that game on fantastic form. And we went into that game, and I'm not sure whether it was just the fact that we changed around the team, but we looked shocking. I think Reading probably did not deserve to lose that game, and that's saying something. Reading, who were bottom of the championship, basically coming to Old Trafford, and in a lot of cases they played us off the park. So I totally agree. I think we haven't been playing our best football as of late. I thought in yesterday's game, the first half, I thought we played well, but the second half was was quite a poor performance from Manchester United. And as I said, it actually is very much reminiscent of when Mourinho was in charge, where, you know, in some games, the first half, we'd come out really well. We might score, you know, 1 or maybe 2 goals, but in the second half, we'd take a foot off the gas, and you can't afford to do that. Luckily, you know, the chances weren't going in for you guys, but you know, on another day, we could have ended 2-2, and that would have been a poor result for us. So I definitely agree. You know, our last few games, we have not been playing our best football, and even though we do start the game well, our finish to the game has just not really been good enough. But that's why I was just happy in the end to get over the line with the 3 points. So yeah, I do agree with that.
We'll respond to more comments here in the live chat. Ian Deans, I think we're missing Bernardo, and as much as I like Bong, he isn't as good as Bernardo in my opinion, and I feel the penalty wouldn't stand if Bernardo was there, and he definitely missed his creativity. I agree with Ian. I think we do miss Bernardo. I prefer Bernardo to Bong, just in terms of his defensive work and going forward. Saying that, give Bong his credit where it was due. Yesterday, he put in a couple of really good balls into the box, right areas, right space, and again, it just wasn't that clinicality to finish it off. Going back to the penalty again, I don't want to berate him too badly, because it was a 50-50. He had to do something, otherwise he was leaving it to Proper. If he left it to Proper and Proper put a challenge in, they'd say, what were you doing? It was your job. So it wouldn't be too harsh. And we are talking about, he was up against Man United. He's up against a really top-level attack that's really hard to defend against, and it will put you in a bit of a flap. We've got to bear in mind, Bong has only started the last 2 games as well. In terms of getting back into first-team football, he's had a bit of a baptism by fire. So I can't berate him too badly. More live chat comments here. We need to step up our performances in these upcoming games. If we play like that on Friday, then we'll get thrashed at Arsenal completely. That's a fair point. I think Arsenal played really well this weekend, absolutely grinding out a result against Chelsea. They made Chelsea look quite poor, in fact. What do you think, Kieran, looking forward ahead to Arsenal, how that game will go?
Oh well, I mean, as I said, I agree. If we play like that, I dread to think how that game is going to go. I'm just happy it's not in the league, you know, because obviously the FA Cup, it is a chance for us to win a trophy, but ultimately, you know, obviously the league, finishing top 4 is probably our priority at the moment. But yeah, I agree. I think, of course, you know, if we play like that we did in the second half, you know, Arsenal will take us apart. I think the way they started the game against Chelsea, absolutely ruthless, and they were unlucky. I mean, I think they did get their noses in front actually quite early on, and I'm worried that, you know, Arsenal do seem to come alive against the top 6, especially at the Emirates. So yeah, it's going to be a really tough game. I think there may be a few changes from Solskjaer, or we might see Sanchez come back in. We might see Lukaku start and Rashford rested, but who knows? I think it's going to be a very difficult game. I still believe we can win the game, but we just have to have a consistent performance all the way through the match, because we can't afford what we did against you guys yesterday against a top side like Arsenal, because they will just prey on you and take you apart. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting game, an interesting one. But I agree with the comments. If we play like we did, especially in that second half, I don't think we have a hope in hell's chance.
I agree. We've got more live comments here saying Fulham will be a good chance for us to bounce back. I guess that's a fair point, in that our next game is going to be a chance for us to take the positives from the United game and sort of enact that into a win. And I guess for you, yours is taking the positives from your game, stepping it up and getting a win against Arsenal. You were saying about the rotations for United in terms of Sanchez, Lukaku. When Lukaku did come on yesterday, how do you think he performed?
Well, I mean, I feel sorry for Lukaku in the way, because, you know, you've got Rashford, who's playing so well at the moment, and he has to come on and follow that. And I think he did all right. I mean, I didn't think he made any, you know, errors or anything like that. I didn't think he had a massive impact on the game, but saying that, he hasn't had a massive impact on the last few games he's come off the bench. I still think he's a good bench option to have. Obviously, you know, he's not just lost you know, the quality he had when he played for Everton, and even in the first season he played for Manchester United. I still think he is a goal scorer. It just doesn't seem to be happening at the moment, happening for him at the moment. But I do think he has quality. I do just feel sorry for him at the moment, though, because having to come on all the time after Marcus Rashford has put in such a great display and he's on such good form. I do think it's going to be very difficult for Lukaku to get back into that starting 11. But we might see him in the starting 11 against Arsenal. Who knows? But I thought when he came on, I don't know. I didn't think he made a great impact up front. Of course, he offers us something a bit different because Rashford's a bit more slight and a bit kind of a bit faster. Lukaku's obviously a lot better at kind of bullying the defenders. But ultimately, he didn't make a huge impact in yesterday's game. But hopefully, he can make a bigger impact. But I don't see him getting in the starting 11 for future league games. But I think he might get a chance against Arsenal.
I think on that note, actually saying about players getting a chance and sort of performing. Ian Dean's comment, I agree that Fulham will be a good chance to bounce back, but we'll have to play like we do against the top sides because I feel we can get a bit laxated and don't play our best football. I mean, that's something that we're looking at. I mean, Knockout's a key player that when he came on yesterday, absolutely changed the game. But he really does play his best football against the top sides. It's sort of like stepping up to that plate to slay a giant. I'm desperate for us to get a result against Fulham. I mean, it's something you'd like to get. Well, our affairs against Fulham are quite tight. The one at home this season, we only drew at home. So to get a win away, it'd be a real cementing of our Premier League quality, especially a chance to prove our away form. We're getting better at playing away, but we're just not quite at that quality level where we're getting results, like consistent results away. So I 100% agree with Ian about this is a really good chance for us to show off our ability. In terms of Knockout yesterday, would you agree that he was a threat to United, Kieran?
I mean, obviously, he's always a threat to United. I mean, as he said, every time he plays United, he seems like he just loves playing against United. And yeah, I mean, of course, when he came on, I thought he did, kind of change the dynamic for you guys. And of course, he contributed to the onslaught that we got in the last 50 minutes. And I think he's a decent player. He's got quality to him. He's got quality delivery. And of course, I don't watch him week in, week out as you do. But every time I do see him play, I think he has a bit of a spark about him. He can make things happen, and I thought yesterday he was trying. Of course, it didn't quite come off, but I think he does provide a bit of quality for you guys there. And I thought he did pose a threat as he seems to always do against Manchester United. So I think he's definitely one of your better forward players. And I don't understand why he didn't start. I remember we were talking about it in the preview we did, and I mean you put your neck out, said he'd start. And I think actually if he'd started, maybe he'd have a better impact. I'm not sure what you think about that.
Do we agree that Murray didn't have the impact we were expecting yesterday? You'd labelled him in your pre-match preview that he was going to be the biggest threat to United, and I just don't think that really came off for us.
No, I agree. Yeah, I remember that. I think Glenn Murray, as I said, he's just one of those strikers who can just make a bit of movement and make something happen. And he can head in a cross or he can flick it in the near post. Yeah, it just didn't come off for him yesterday. I thought he's going to be a big threat to us. And maybe if a few of his shots did come off, he might bag the goal yesterday. But yeah, it just didn't seem to happen for him. And I'm not sure why that is. Maybe he's just having an off day. But yeah, it didn't seem to have the impact that I thought he was going to have. But maybe on another day he could have scored. Obviously there was a few good deliveries into the box. So again, on another day he could get onto the end of them. So yeah, I mean it just didn't fall for him yesterday. And I would have to agree that he didn't really have the impact that I thought he was going to have. I thought he was going to be a lot more dangerous than he was. But of course, he's always in the box, so I guess he's kind of a constant background threat almost. So yeah, I didn't think he had the biggest impact yesterday.
We'll read out our last few comments before we finish up for the evening. We've got Rashford's more reliable than Lukaku for me, Kieran. Even though Lukaku is capable of creating an immediate impact when he comes off the bench. I was expecting a lot more from Glenn Murray, but he'll probably play a better game at Fulham. Now, that's a fair point. I think for Murray yesterday, he wasn't quite getting the service we wanted. I don't think he was quite getting into he was in the right areas, but he's not a runner. And United were quite, despite that there are holes in your defence, you were very well disciplined yesterday defensively. So it was hard for us to get through. Against Fulham, I think he might have a bit more chance. We saw him do it with Fulham at home. is that Murray likes to bully defenders, like sneaky elbows in the back and sort of like wind-up tactics. So I think we will see better from him at Fulham. We've got more comments here. The one about Lukaku. For you, Kieran, Rashford, more reliable than Lukaku. Would you agree with that?
At the moment, yes. I can't. I mean, to be honest, I reckon a few months ago I would have said Lukaku's more reliable than Rashford. But just on the form he is at the moment, I'd have to say yes, definitely Rashford. You can't argue with his form. You can't argue with the numbers he's doing under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And Lukaku, whilst he has had a few cameo appearances and come on and scored a few goals, I think, yeah, at this moment in time, definitely Rashford. I just think he's a bit more clinical and he's adding a bit more, he's being a bit more ruthless. And I'm liking the fact he's adding that to his game and he's clearly growing as a player. So yeah, I'd have to agree with the comment. I'd say that Rashford, as of right now, is probably more reliable than Lukaku. Yeah.
Kieran, we'd like to thank you for your time while we finish up now. Anyone that wants to check out Kieran's channel, we'll leave his description in the description below. We did a preview video on his channel if you want to check it out, and he does great content on United every week. Kieran was a really early supporter of our channel, and we really appreciate him for that. So thank you for that, Kieran. Any last messages for the viewers?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me, George. Really appreciate it, and of course, I hope to be on more of these videos, later in the season or anything like that. But of course, thank you very much for having me, and of course, make sure you check out this channel as well, because obviously George has some brilliant stuff on here as well. So make sure you subscribe to this channel, leave a like, all that good stuff as well. And yeah, 7 out of 7. What can you say? I'm absolutely buzzing as a United fan, and bring on the Gunners.
Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you like this new style of video we're doing. A live videos. We're not sure whether this goes down well or not, so please leave your feedback in the comments below, and please remember to like and subscribe to both channels. We do really appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.